Hi everyone from Eretz Yisrael. It's good to see everyone digitally, looking to seeing everyone next week in person. What we will be talking about today is the bracha that Yaakov takes from his brother Eisav through trickery. I want to understand why you do something like that. We need to understand the two things that Yitzchak takes from his brother Eisav. The first one you have learned about already, and that's when he buys the birthright from his brother for a pot of lentil soup. Now, at this point, answer question number 1. As Yitzchak is getting old, he wants to bless his son. He calls in Eisav and he asks him to go hunt for him some game, some animals, in order to make for him a meal. In the meantime, Rivka overhears a conversation and tells her son Yaakov that he needs to trick his father into giving him the bracha. Yaakov isn't interested, but with a bit of an extra push, Rivka convinces Yaakov that is what he has to do. And indeed, that is what Yaakov does. What we need to understand right now is, what is the topic of the bracha? What was the intention of Yitzchak before Yaakov took the bracha? What did Yitzchak intend for his two sons? And we can understand what he intended through looking at the topic of the bracha. The first bracha is the bracha that was supposed to be given to Eisav, but it's actually given to Yaakov. What is the topic of that bracha? Let's take a look at it together. Now, God's going to give you from the dew of the heavens, and of the fat of the land, and plenty of grain, wine. Essentially, nations are going to serve you, and they're going to bow down to you. You'll be lording over your brother, and the sons of your mother will bow down to you. And essentially, those people who curse you will be cursed, and those people who will bless you will be blessed. What's the main topic of this bracha? Essentially, physical bounty, physical domination, power in this world. Nations will be bowing down to you. Nations will be serving you on a national level, on a country level, on a governmental level. And also, there will be plenty of money, plenty of food. This was originally intended for his son, who was much more connected to his physical needs, and that was Eisav. Eisav was a hunter. And Yitzchak had intended for Eisav to receive this physical blessing for a person who's much more connected to physicality than his brother Yaakov. At this point, answer question number 2. All that being said, the entire time, Yitzchak still intended for Yaakov to be his spiritual heir, the one who will carry the torch to the next generation. We were never intended to be Bnei Eisav, but rather always were intended to be Bnei Yisrael. We know that because before Yaakov leaves, running away from his brother, and even after his father had already agreed that the blessing that he gave by accident should still stand, there's a blessing that wasn't ever intended for Eisav. Otherwise it would have been given already. But rather it's given before Yaakov leaves. Let's take a look at that blessing together. This is found in chapter 28, in the beginning of the chapter. V'kel Shaddai yevarech Hashem should bless you. V'yafrecha v'yarbecha, make you multiply and fruitful, multiply many kids. Vayita lekahal amim, and you should be a great nation. V'yiten lecha et birkat Avraham, and Hashem should give you the blessing of Abraham. Lecha ulezarecha itach, to you and your kids. L'rishtecha et eretz migurecha, to inherit the land of your wanderings. Asher natan Elokim la'Abraham, Hashem gave to Abraham. We see here without a shadow of a doubt, that Yitzchak always intended for Yaakov to be his spiritual heir, to receive the blessing of Abraham that we saw in Brit Ben HaBetarim. At this point, answer question number 3. To conclude, what Yitzchak had intended, it seems, was that his son Eisav, who was much more connected to the physical needs, would be maybe possibly the physical leader, whereas the spirituality of Torah, Yaakov, would essentially have the spiritual this spiritual drive and ambition to carry the nation, albeit that was not Hashem's plan. And not only does Yaakov receive Abraham's blessing, but he also receives the blessing of being the leader of the two that will ultimately be realized in the times of Mashiach. At this point, please answer question number 4.